5 years of isolation turned me into an emotionally stunted manchild, and I hate it. The last 5 years of my life have been miserable. Ever since the COVID-19 pandemic hit, it feels like everything went downhill, and I don't think I'll ever get over the fact that it happened. I had a genuinely great childhood during the 2010s. Things felt stable, normal, even joyful. But the moment lockdowns hit, it was like someone flipped a switch and my world just stopped. Since then, it's been 5 straight years of isolation, doom-scrolling, and depression. And unlike some people, my life never really went back to normal. I lost my friends, I lost my sense of self. And most painfully, I lost the innocence that came with being a kid who didn't have to worry about the world falling apart. Before 2020, I barely paid attention to politics or current events. But being stuck inside during lockdown, constantly glued to the news and social media, it felt like I was being force-fed every horrible thing happening in the world. I didn't have the tools to process it. I felt powerless, overwhelmed, and completely detached from real life. Now, all I do is scroll Reddit and waste time online. It honestly feels like my teenage years were stolen from me. I never got those formative experiences, and because of that, I act younger than I am. I'm technically an adult, but emotionally, I feel like a kid who never finished growing up. It's like that movie Big, but in reverse. I feel like I grew up overnight without ever learning how to actually be an adult. The fact that 2019 still feels like yesterday, yet we're living in 2025? It just doesn't make sense. This feels like a future from some sci-fi novel, not real life. And yeah, I've tried to cope by clinging to whatever bits of childhood I can. I even got into watching Bluey because it was one of the few safe things that didn't feel tainted by everything else. I know it's a preschool show. I know how that sounds. But it was something, anything, that made me feel comforted, even if only for a moment. I guess what I'm saying is, since March 2020, my life has felt like a constant, slow unraveling. And I don't know how to fix it. I feel stuck in a limbo between the person I was and the adult I'm supposed to be, but can't seem to become. I lose all confidence every time I see my old friend group. Every time I see my old friend group, something inside me just shuts down. I freeze in place. My heart pounds. And my instinct is to look away, anywhere but at them. I avoid eye contact like it's a weapon. Sometimes I don't even go out at all because I'm terrified of running into them. After I distanced myself and unfollowed them on social media, things got worse. They started spreading rumors, telling people I'd always been alone, weird, and bullied. It's true, I was bullied for years. They weren't the ones directly doing it, but they were there, watching, silent, sometimes laughing. Not once did they stand up for me. And now, just their presence is enough to scare me. When we're in the same room or hallway, and I catch sight of them walking by, I try so hard to keep my expression neutral, to be impassive, to act confident. I want to be someone who doesn't care, who isn't affected by their stares. But the truth is, I get scared. I shrink down inside. I pretend not to see them. Even though every nerve in my body is screaming, I just want to disappear. I keep asking myself how to stop feeling like this. I tell myself maybe it's because of how I look. I compare myself to them, their clothes, their smiles, their normalness, and I convince myself I'm less pretty, less interesting, less worthy. Like that's why I don't belong. Why I'm always on the outside looking in. But when I'm honest, I realize something strange. If I were a guy, they wouldn't even be my type. So why do I let this idea that they're somehow better or cooler control how I feel about myself? Why does seeing them still make me feel small and invisible, like I'm not enough? I don't regret walking away from them. I know I made the right choice, for my own peace, for my own growth. But what hurts is that they still haunt my thoughts. They still sneak into my mind and mess with my self-esteem, even years later. I'm 22 now, and I hate that I still act like a scared kid around them. I want to be mature enough to hold my head high, to brush off their shadows, but it's hard. Some days it feels like the weight of those years of silence and neglect still drags me down. Maybe saying this out loud, admitting the fear, the confusion, The hurt is the first step toward freeing myself from it. Because I deserve to feel safe. I deserve to feel confident. And maybe, one day, seeing them won't make me want to hide anymore. Should I feel guilty about spending money on hobbies when I have student loans? It's a quiet Sunday evening. I've just finished cleaning my apartment, made myself a cup of tea, and sat down in front of my desk, the same desk where I do my work, study for exams, and also, lately, paint tiny plastic miniatures. My most recent hobby. The thing is, I've been feeling really conflicted about it. About spending money on these small joys. I have student loans. A decent amount of them. The kind of number that makes your chest tighten when you log into your account and see the balance. And yet, here I am, occasionally spending 20, 30, sometimes even $50 on new paints, brushes, or figures. Sometimes I catch myself in the middle of enjoying it, mixing colors, zoning out while painting armor details, and suddenly I'm hit with this wave of guilt. Like, should I really be doing this? Shouldn't that money go toward my loans? Shouldn't every spare dollar be used to chip away at that looming debt? I'm not out here living lavishly. I budget. I cook most of my meals at home. I don't go to bars or spend hundreds on clothes. My hobbies are my splurges, little things that make life feel more than just a cycle of work and repayment. Still, the guilt creeps in. There's a voice in my head, probably my inner perfectionist, that says, you don't deserve to enjoy these things yet. Not until the debt is gone. Not until you've done the responsible thing. And I don't know where that comes from exactly. Maybe growing up in a household where money was tight. Or watching adults in my life always put themselves last. But then I wonder, is it really wrong to give myself moments of peace? Of creativity? To allow myself to feel human? Instead of just a financial burden that needs to be fixed? I try to remind myself, this is a marathon, not a sprint. My loans aren't disappearing overnight. And while I could technically throw every last cent toward paying them off faster, what kind of life would that leave me with in the meantime? It's not about recklessness. I still pay more than the minimums. I still track my spending. But I also need to live, to feel joy, to have something that makes me look forward to the end of the day. I guess I'm still learning that it's okay to invest in myself, even when I'm not finished or financially free. That I'm allowed to have hobbies, to create, to smile, even while owing money. And maybe, just maybe, those little moments of happiness are what help me stay sane enough to keep going. I cut everyone off, and now I'm starting to regret it. I've always been the kind of person who puts everyone else's needs before my own. That's just how I've always operated. I've gone through multiple friend groups where I either watered myself down to fit in, or exaggerated my personality to seem funnier or more likable. And in the end, none of it ever really worked. In my most recent friend group, things felt empty. No one ever talked to me unless it was in the group chat, and even that barely happened. We never hung out anymore. I'd try making plans, and all I'd get in return were excuses. Always too busy, too tired, too something. Eventually, I just gave up. Then there was my best friend, someone I've known for 4 years, who started becoming angrier and colder with me. That's when it hit me. They had never really been putting effort into our friendship at all. It was always me, showing up, checking in, making plans, keeping us connected. And one of the only friends who actually talked to me daily? They were funny, yeah, but also constantly made fat jokes and slut-shamed me. Every single day. At some point, it stopped sounding like a joke and started feeling like cruelty in disguise. So I snapped. After everything, after all the years of giving and giving, I dropped them. I left all the group chats. Removed people from my socials. Deleted apps. Muted notifications. I just cut everything off. And now it's been a few weeks. Silence. Not a single message. No one asking how I am. No one checking in. I sit with my phone late at night, staring at it, hoping for it to buzz. Just once. But it never does. I don't want to reach out first. I always reach out first. I always try to fix things. But not this time. And it's eating me alive. Do they care so little about me that they're just fine with me disappearing? Did they ever really like me at all? Are they actually better off without me? My best friend, who once said she cherished our friendship, hasn't said a word in over a month. Not a single text. Nothing. I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't want to be around them again, but the silence is so loud. I've started taking medication for the stress because I have no one left to talk to. All I want is to rant to my best friend about how I feel, but she's not here. She's just gone, and she's okay with that. I keep thinking I should apologize, but for what? For wanting respect? For not wanting to be treated like a joke? I gave everything to these people and got nothing in return. So why do I feel like the bad guy? Anyway, thanks for reading my rant. This is just how my brain has been for the past few weeks. I really don't know what to do. I distanced myself from my closest friends, and now I miss them. I, 25 female, used to be extremely close with two friends, Valentina, 26 female, and Maria, 27 female. Especially Maria. We had known each other for years. She was my confidant. We talked every single day, supported each other through everything, traveled together, partied together, cried together. We had that kind of friendship where even if we didn't agree with each other, there was no judgment. Just acceptance. Everything started to shift during one night out. We were at a club. And my younger cousin Tony, 19 male, came along. He liked Valentina, but I honestly didn't think much of it. The age gap made it feel unrealistic. I stepped away for a bit, to the bathroom, and when I came back, Valentina and Tony were kissing. Maria was also kissing someone else, so I figured it was just one of those party things. No big deal. It was during university holidays, after all. But when the semester started again, things got more complicated. Tony had just started uni too, and since we were close, he'd spend his free time with me. Naturally, that meant he also spent time with Valentina and Maria. And Valentina, she kept flirting with him. A lot. I felt uncomfortable about the whole situation, not just the age gap, but how fast things were developing, but I didn't want to be controlling. They were both adults. I stayed out of it. Thing is, Valentina was also seeing another guy, James, 26 male. And it seemed serious. She talked about him like she was falling for him. But at the same time, she was still texting a bunch of guys from dating apps and playing games. It was messy. In April, we all went on a beach trip. Just the three of us, another friend, and Tony. And that's when Valentina and Tony were basically acting like a couple. Sharing a room, being affectionate, everything. I tried to ignore it. I just wanted to enjoy the trip. But as soon as we got back, Valentina went to pick James up from the airport, and he asked her to be his girlfriend. I wasn't a fan of him and told her I didn't think it was a good idea, but I also said I'd support her. Then she asked us to keep their relationship a secret. I agreed, assuming that meant things with Tony were over. But I was wrong. A few days later, Tony invited me for drinks with Valentina and our friend. I don't drink, but I went anyway. And again, Valentina and Tony were acting like they were together. Holding hands, sitting close, teasing each other. And now, knowing she had a boyfriend? It made me incredibly uncomfortable. I left without saying anything. The next day in our group chat, Valentina started sending screenshots of guys she was texting, bragging about how many were buying her gifts, planning dates, messaging her non-stop. I replied, passive-aggressively, I'll admit, no wonder you want to keep your relationship a secret. She said she was planning to ask James for an open relationship anyway. Because he doesn't deserve my loyalty, apparently because he followed random girls on Instagram. She knew that because she used a fake account to flirt with him and test his reactions. Then she bragged that Tony was taking her to my dad's business that day. That was a line I couldn't ignore. I asked if she had told Tony about James. Her response? No. And I don't plan to. That's when I snapped. I told her, I get that, but if you don't tell him and I keep watching you play him like this, I'm going to tell him myself. She blew up. Maria jumped in, defending her, saying I had no right to interfere. I tried to explain that Valentina could handle her relationships however she wanted, but that an open relationship only works if everyone involved knows about it. That Tony had a right to know what he was getting into. That honesty matters. But they twisted it. Suddenly, I was the villain, a blackmailer, a drama starter. I felt so small and overwhelmed after that fight. I decided to take a step back, for my own sanity. But they didn't like that either. A few days later, Maria tried to make peace. But instead of understanding, she told me, "The thing is, you just don't like being wrong." That hurt, more than I expected, because it wasn't about being right. It was about being loyal to people I cared about, even if they didn't see it that way. Tony is like a little brother to me. I love him. I couldn't stay silent. I pulled away even more. And then they started telling our mutual friends I was just isolating myself because I was depressed again. Eventually, I did tell Tony. I didn't do it out of spite, I did it because I cared. He didn't confront them or make a scene. He just quietly cut ties, found new friends, and moved on. Maturely, gracefully, Valentina kept lying to him, pretending she was single. But he let it go. Me? I was left alone. No more group chats. No more last-minute invites. No more people to meet for coffee between classes. I watched them from afar, on social media, in group photos, out at parties. Traveling like nothing ever changed. And I miss them. I really do. Even if I didn't agree with their choices, they were still people who understood me in ways few others ever have. They encouraged me to go out, to socialize. Our schedules clicked. Our routines synced. They made me laugh when I needed it most. They were my safe space until they weren't. Now I just feel sad. And lonely. And I don't know if I did the right thing. Maybe I should have stayed quiet. Maybe I should have just let it all go. But I couldn't. I miss them more than I know how to admit. But I don't think they miss me. I'm thinking about abortion, and I feel terrible about it. I'm a 30-year-old female. I'm engaged. I just lost my job. And right now, I'm pregnant. I thought all the anxiety I was feeling was just about telling my parents. I figured once I got that out of the way, I'd feel better. I mean, yeah, I'd been crying a lot. But I assumed it was just the stress. The morning sickness, the food aversions, the emotional roller coaster. I thought it was all just temporary. That the relief would come once they knew. So I told them, and they were overjoyed. My parents cried. We told the rest of the family, they cried too. My fiancé was ecstatic. Everyone was celebrating, but I wasn't. Once the relief of not disappointing anyone passed, it hit me like a wave, the dread. The sadness. The sinking feeling in my gut. I don't want this baby. The truth is, I was planning to break up with my fiancé before I found out I was pregnant. And when I saw that positive test, it felt like my entire future got rewritten. Suddenly, I was trapped in this relationship I no longer wanted, trying to convince myself to fall back in love with a man I was already drifting away from. I know that sounds cold, but we've been together for 10 years. He only proposed recently, and if I'm being honest, it didn't feel romantic. It felt like he finally asked because I stuck around long enough. And now there's a baby. One he's so excited about. One that everyone around me is already celebrating. Everyone but me. This Wednesday, I'm asking my doctor about abortion options. If that doesn't work, I'll go to a clinic. And if I do this, I'll lie. I'll tell everyone I had a miscarriage. No one will know the truth. And after that, I'm planning to leave. I want to teach English in Thailand. I know it sounds impulsive, maybe even insane, but it feels like the only way I'll be able to escape all this and maybe heal from everything I'm about to do. Oh, and in case you're wondering, it wasn't an accident from being careless. The condom broke. The protection failed. This baby wanted to be here. But I'm not ready. And that makes me feel like the worst person alive. Feeling deeply hurt and excluded after my boyfriend's mom surprised him with a birthday trip and didn't include me. I'm 24 and my boyfriend is 27. We've been together for just over 2 years. And honestly, our relationship is really solid most of the time. But this birthday trip his mom surprised him with has left me feeling shaken, hurt, and really unsure. I've been carrying this around in my chest, and I just need to get it out. First, I want to say I love his mom. She's genuinely kind, generous, and has shown me she likes me. I truly appreciate that, but I also have to admit, I get paranoid sometimes and my mind races with what ifs. The day after his birthday, I saw him and asked what he got for his birthday. His birthday was on a weekday. So he had a quiet dinner at his mom's since no other family was in town. At first, he kind of dodged the question, so I asked again. Eventually, he told me that his mom and sister had planned a surprise trip, an international trip, no less, and he was going with them in a few weeks. It was a complete surprise to him, and honestly, it felt like a surprise to me too, because I had no idea this was even being considered. I wasn't asked if I wanted to come. I wasn't invited. I found out only after the trip was already booked. That's the part that hurt the most. His mom knows how much I love to travel. I've talked about wanting to take a trip with him for ages. It was something I had hoped we'd plan together someday. But instead, she just booked this big trip without including me at all. It felt like a punch in the gut, like I didn't even exist in that plan. On top of that, I've been asking him to take a trip with me, but he often says it's hard to find time off work. I get that he works hard and rarely takes time off unless he has to. But his mom is friends with his boss. Maybe she was able to work some magic there? I don't know. It just makes me wonder if she made it easier for him to go on this trip with her and his sister. And I'm left waiting. We've had good times with his family before. His mom and sister have been kind, and they even sent me videos and photos after the last trip we all took together. But there were also moments during that trip when he was drunk and not very nice to me. I felt pretty alone, and I can't help but wonder if his mom or sister noticed that and maybe think I'm a problem or that our relationship is rocky. Maybe I'm just spiraling and reading too much into it, but it lingers in my mind. His mom tends to throw money at everything and everyone. She's single and travels a lot. She and my boyfriend spend a lot of time together, way more than most adult sons and moms I know. And I really do love her. But sometimes I'm scared she doesn't like me anymore or maybe thinks I'm getting in the way of her bond with her son. It's just a lot to process. I feel excluded. I keep wondering if my boyfriend said something to his mom. Maybe that he doesn't want to travel with me, or that we fight a lot, which we really don't. I worry maybe she sees herself as the most important woman in his life and doesn't want to make space for anyone else. I think he might have misunderstood my feelings. Maybe he thinks I'm just mad he got a surprise trip for his birthday, when really I'm heartbroken about being left out. And it's not just about the trip itself. He also has a sporting trip planned with friends this year, something they've been planning for over a year, and he's the best man at a friend's wedding. With a bachelor fishing trip lined up. Those trips are totally understandable and important to him, and I want him to have those experiences. But knowing this means even less time off for a trip with me just opened up all the feelings I've been bottling up. He's not great with emotional conversations. I know I have to be careful when I bring things up or he'll shut down or get defensive. I want to talk to him about how all this made me feel. But I'm debating whether I should wait until after the trip so he doesn't misinterpret it or say anything to his family while he's away. At the same time, I don't want to keep swallowing my feelings just to keep the peace.